Hello everyone, Team Anyname here again. Today we will talk about a really interesting situation our team got entangled in recently. As you all know, we create videos that help educate the general public about the dangers of doing financial transactions online, and of course, we also show you how to safely do them. But we are not just here to educate you, but we also do things that we believe could help make the internet a safer place. In today's video, we will show you how we pranked a popular Instagram vlogger who scammed her followers by more than 1 million rubles, or around 14,000 US dollars. This blogger shamelessly ran a Ponzi scheme with the promise of a twofold return to anyone who invests on her project, but instead used the money to buy an apartment, made some pretty pricey renovations on it, and even went on multiple holidays abroad without a care in the world. Today, you will learn how to achieve justice on the internet by scamming a scammer. We will trick the star of our video by offering her an advertising deal, get her personal data, which is needed to file an official complaint against her, and also reach out to one of her closest relatives and ask them to help us pressure her to stop her fraudulent activities. Together with the victims, we will contact relevant authorities in the hopes of resolving the many issues this fraudster has created. In this video, you will see how we successfully pranked her with a fake advertising deal and tricked her into giving us her personal data. Before we begin, please do not forget to like our videos and hit the bell notification button so you get notified when we release new ones. It takes a serious amount of effort and time to create quality videos for you, our dear viewers, so please support our channel by sharing them to your friends. Now that the introduction is over, let's get down to business. Here's a brief background of the situation so you'll understand why this fraudster needs to be brought to justice. As covered in one of our previous videos, Instagram has become one of the most popular apps in the world. In Russia, there are about 56 million active Instagram users according to recent statistical data. Due to its huge user base, it has emerged as one of the most popular hotbeds of fraudulent activities. One such person who takes advantage of this is Ekaterina Romanova. Ekaterina is a popular Russian Instagram vlogger with over 140,000 followers. At first glance, her account with the Instagram handle @crow.mashik is not in any way remarkable. The account is pretty much like every other account you see of young ladies. Instagram accounts with nothing but half-naked photos. Her target audience are basically young girls who aspire to have what they call the influencer lifestyle. And of course, a good chunk of her followers are also young men who are into vapid girls. We would describe her account as simply boring. She doesn't post anything that would be considered entertaining, let alone educational. There was also no indication that she actively engages with her Instagram followers in any meaningful way. Profiles like her are basically non-monetizable. She could do a paid mention of a restaurant or a hookah bar, for example, but advertising deals like this happens rarely. Nowadays, brands usually prefer to do barter collaborations rather than paying Instagrammers, and even if a brand agrees to pay, it would only be a nominal amount. More often than not, it would not be for more than 3,000 rubles or about 40 US dollars. So, how would Instagrammers like Ekaterina make money off their profiles? Well, there are basically two options. First, she can start by improving her content. She needs to find a genre that she can focus on and develop it. Her posts need to be educational, interactive, and entertaining. There are thousands of Instagram accounts that she can get inspiration from. There are a lot of lovely young ladies whose profiles cater to those who are interested in nature photography. However, this would probably be difficult for Ekaterina because a venture like this requires an actual thinking brain and not just some hot body and good app filters. So this option would absolutely not be suitable for her. You will definitely understand why we think this way if you visit her Instagram profile. The second option is to create her own monetizable project suitable for a specific target audience. She can then advertise this project on her platform since she has a decent number of Instagram followers. All she needs to do is provide good service for whatever her project will be. She would then need to conceptualize an idea and execute it correctly. But as we've mentioned, Ekaterina is not really the type who possesses a brain needed for such a huge undertaking. You see, we are not really fans of hers. After all, we're talking about a fraudster who has tricked her own followers for money. Both options are clearly not applicable to Ekaterina. But who said that she is into building an honest and conscientious project? Well, that's right, nobody. That's why she came up with some mediocre scheme of creating her own Telegram channel and using it to scam her followers into investing their money into her non-existing projects. You're probably wondering how we got involved in this situation. Well, our team was added to a group chat created by her victims where almost all of them provided us with evidence of her scam. So, how did Ekaterina swindle her followers? How did she pull this off? Basically, she ran it like this. She would post several provocative stories on her account wherein she would talk about some miracle project that she is engaged in, and this project is related to betting services. She then guarantees the success of the project and encourages her followers to invest in it by transferring funds to her personal accounts. Apparently, Ekaterina is smarter than we initially thought because she placed a disclaimer that says there were some cases wherein the project did not work as planned and that because of this, there is a possibility of losing the investment. But she reiterated that the chances of this happening is minimal. That's right, she's basically protecting herself from any liabilities in the event of financial loss. However, she also claims that in such situations, the full amount of investment will be returned to the investor. One girl recently decided to contact Ekaterina directly to learn more about the scheme. So what are the conditions? Send 4 to 10,000 rubles. You'll get 2.5 times more within a week. What if the bet loses? It cannot. We do everything prudently. Here, you can see that Ekaterina claims that it is close to impossible to lose any investments. As she said, everything was carefully calculated, and so this potential investor has nothing to worry about. We all know it now that in reality, she did not have a legitimate money-making project, but rather just a low-level scam. Frankly speaking, who would spend so much effort to conceptualize a successful project, do customer support, and then consistently provide high-quality service if you could just simply use your popularity as a tool to scam your gullible followers? Scamming a couple dollars from each of her followers does not seem like a lot, but we're talking about a huge number of victims here. We tried to figure out how much Ekaterina has earned from her scam, and so far, we know of about 1 million rubles, or about $14,000 US. $14,000? Yes, this is the number that we came up with after calculating all the numerous money transfers made to Ekaterina by her victims. But it is important to note that this amount is only based on the victims that publicly accused her. There could be many more who probably just counted their losses and decided to forget about this whole fiasco. But why so many victims, you may wonder? Well, we've already shown you in our previous videos just how gullible people are. But aside from that, Ekaterina actually employed one of the common and surefire ways of scamming people. It works like this. The future victim contacts Ekaterina on Telegram, and after she makes her pitch, the victim will then send a small amount. The scammer makes sure that she'll get the most amount she can from her victim by giving the initial investment back, plus the interest that she promised. Wow, really? It works. This is awesome. Exactly what her newly hooked victim would say. But in fact, Ekaterina did not make some savvy investments using the investor's money, but rather just used the simplest form of a pyramid scheme. To pay the interest earned by the first investor, she would use the money sent to her by a second investor. She would do this multiple times until she has enough number of first-time investors that fully trust her scheme. Because they receive the interest as promised by Ekaterina, they are then enticed to invest a much more serious amount of money. Some would send her 2 times more compared to the first time they invested. Others would give 3 times more, and so on and so forth. Thus, Ekaterina's turnover would increase by 3 times. Once the amount she scammed satisfied her, she would then start ignoring her investors and repeat the same scheme with new victims. Our team has been following her posts, and after almost 1 week, she continued to ignore her victims. Oh, we felt terrible for the poor victims. As if the amount she had already scammed still isn't enough, she decided to come up with another scheme. She told everyone about the end of a supposedly successful campaign on her betting project, but that there was some unfortunate news. According to her, the investors needed to send an additional 2,000 to 3,000 rubles because there was some kind of technical issues which made the withdrawal of earnings impossible. She added that transactions made under her project are currently being reviewed because apparently there was some sort of oversight and additional funds are needed to rectify this. Honestly speaking, we have not heard of anything more ridiculous. Thus, our star, Ekaterina, collected a couple more thousands of dollars from her trusting victims and then decided to just suddenly ignore them. Whenever her victims asked for updates about their earnings, she would constantly say she'll give them one the following day, which she never did. It did not take long before her victims finally realized what was happening. They created a group in the popular Russian site to discuss what to do with their situation. Everyone had pretty much the same story. They invested a small amount, received the initial earnings from the investment, and then decided to invest a bigger amount, hoping to receive a larger interest. But instead, Ekaterina suddenly just ignores them. Majority of the victims threatened that they would file an official complaint against her, but she would continually use every possible excuse she could come up with. First, she claimed that her bank account was blocked, therefore she could not make any transfers. Then she claimed she is sponsoring a friend's album, which she says will be a hit. After exhausting all possible excuses, she would just simply stop all correspondence. Based on our observation, she was able to earn the most amount from her scheme between the months of January and April. Interestingly, around the same time, she was able to buy an apartment worth around 4 million rubles, or about $53,000 in her home city of Nizhny Novgorod. She was also able to do some expensive renovations on it and even managed to go on holiday trips abroad. What is surprising is that there was not a single intention of her to hide this, as she bragged about her pricey purchase and her excursions on Insta stories. All the same, she continued to brag about her supposed earnings from the betting service that she endorses, even though it was obvious that it was her victims' money that was funding her newly found luxurious lifestyle. Being a scammer is my hobby and brings me huge income. I am proud of this because not everyone has the talent to do what I do. We've never met anyone more brazenly proud of scamming people than our girl Ekaterina, and to be honest, we're quite confused about what talent she's referring to since she's using one of the most low-level scamming schemes. Granted, it did trick some people. Her sheer lack of guilt annoys to no end, and so our team took it upon ourselves to help the victims get some sort of justice. As we mentioned at the onset of the video, we will help the victims file an official complaint against the scammer. However, we do need her personal information to do this. Now that you know the whole backstory, we will now go into the fun, and the best part of this whole saga, punishing Ekaterina. We contacted some of her victims to see if they have any relevant information that could help us pinpoint where exactly she is. As it turned out, one of them has the address of Ekaterina's mom, with whom she had lived with previously. Turns out that our scammer had a falling out with another girl who runs the Instagram account Instasamka. According to her, she had an agreement with Ekaterina to do a collaboration with a promise that she will get paid. Well, as expected, Ekaterina did get a huge boost to her profile and her following increased due to this collaboration, but did not keep her end of the bargain. She stopped speaking with Instasamka immediately after and did not pay a single cent. Of course, Instasamka was not happy about this and tried to contact Ekaterina, but to no avail. She miraculously found the fraudster's old address, which she then gave to us. The other victims also have her bank details and Kiwi wallet, since it is where they transfer the funds to her. That's all the information we gathered at this point. There are at least 2 ways for us to get a hold of Ekaterina. The more difficult way is to find all possible information about her on Darknet. We should be able to find the other banking details and, using these, find her current address and phone numbers, which are needed. However, this will absolutely be difficult, and we're not even sure we could find anything about her there at all. The second and more interesting way is through social engineering. Social engineering? Yes, viewer, you got it right. The plan is to earn Ekaterina's trust and make her send us her personal data herself. Well, yeah, you are right if you think it would be difficult. This option is quite complicated and needed a little more effort, but as we all know, she's not really the sharpest tool in the shed either. If she could only come up with such lame excuses as program malfunction and violation of legal causes to scam her followers, then this second method should work. This is exactly how we will trap her. As you will see later on in the video, we made the right call, and punishing her was even more fun than expected. For us to set up a successful prank, first we needed to create a detailed characteristic profile of Ekaterina. We need to find out what her interests are and determine which organizations or projects she'll probably want to be a part of. As we all know, Ekaterina is like every other Instagrammer, posting half-naked vapid photos. Obviously a person who considers herself attractive. We suspected that she's about the age of 20 and most importantly, someone who worships money. Since she's an active social media user, religiously posting photos and clips of herself almost every day, we reckoned that she should be interested in a project that involves self-promotion at even a bigger scale. We have not found a project more suitable than that of Andrei Afonin. He has a very popular show called Afonia House. So what is this show about exactly? Afonia TV is a YouTube channel which showcases young, ambitious girls, the types that are into expensive stuff and luxurious lifestyles. The plan is to pretend that we are a representative of the show and that we are interested in featuring Ekaterina in an upcoming episode. This is very timely because the real production team of Afonia TV just recently announced that they are looking for girls to collaborate with. We didn't waste any time and created the obviously fake Gmail account, afoniahouseteam@gmail.com, and sent Ekaterina an email mentioning our interest in working with her. In our email, we introduce ourselves as part of the production team of Afonia TV and that we are interested to have her as one of the mentors on the show. We also mentioned that her personality suits the show so much that we even slightly increased the talent fee just for her, 250,000 rubles or $3,335 for a week of filming with all her expenses covered. Her job was to simply give advice to the show participants on how to be a successful Instagrammer and give a little history of her profile. We asked to continue our correspondence through a phone call, and so we asked for her phone number. Apparently, Ekaterina has not opened her email account for a long time as we have not received any response from her, so we decided to be a little bit more creative. We opened an Instagram account and sent her direct messages on both of her known profiles. And it worked. She responded almost instantly. Again, we introduced ourselves as part of the production team at Afonia TV. We told her of our interest in collaborating with her and that we would like to buy ads through her stories. We promised that one of our colleagues will personally contact her that day and make the payment. Our girl was so easy to trick. She agreed right away. We mentioned our email detailing our offer. She probably opened her email account for the first time in a long time and saw the offer she could just not refuse. Without even asking probing questions, she immediately gave us her phone number. The offer is interesting. You're free to call at this number. We thanked her and promised that we will contact her again the following day. On the same day, we bought a SIM card using another person's details. As promised, we called her and made the agreement.
Алло, добрый вечер, Катерина.
Менеджер Екатерина, Савелий.
Я менеджер проекта Afonia House, Никита меня зовут.
Да, я в курсе.
Да, писал буквально 2-3 дня назад, и, собственно, мне поступил ответ с согласием, заинтересованностью, как минимум. Вот. А с Катериной я поговорить не могу, правильно? Только через вас.
Да, только через меня.
Как все будет примерно устроено? Значит, естественно, это будет такая рекламная акция и само участие. Естественно, билет до нас, билет обратно, мы все это оплачиваем участие и, возможно, какие-то отдельные сторис, которые уже будут вне плана. То есть Катерина в данном случае поедет в качестве наставницы, вот, и все это будет на камеру, то есть просто там обработать фотографию, дать какие-то отдельные советы, как вести и тому подобное.
Я вас понял. В принципе, вопросов нет. Скажите, когда мы можем дать точный ответ?
Если честно, завтрашний день. То есть это такой дедлайн прям до вечера, до 8 часов вечера.
Мы вам завтра дадим точный ответ на почту, с которой вы
Да, пожалуйста. Именно. И, пожалуйста, чтобы я вам не перезванивал, это либо согласие, либо несогласие тоже. Если не согласие, то объяснить почему, потому что нам интересно. Все, тогда спасибо.
We were a bit surprised that it was Ekaterina's boyfriend that answered our call. We almost laughed when he introduced himself as her manager. There's nothing remarkable about the call. We basically just discussed the fine details of the contract. Of course, we did not forget our main goal, which was to get Ekaterina's personal details and thought of a way to get them as soon as possible. We can judge by the phone conversation that her boyfriend is just as dull as Ekaterina, and we were right. He agreed to send us her personal passport data when we told him that we needed them to draw the official contract and that they also needed to purchase the plane tickets. The next day, we sent a message to Ekaterina that we needed her confirmation on whether she agreed to the contract, and right then she said yes. We reminded them about the need for the passport data so we can complete the contract and purchase the tickets. She told us about her excitement of flying to Moscow and, without hesitation, sent us both her and her boyfriend's passport scans. We also requested her current address, claiming that we will book her a ride to the airport ourselves. She sent that too, without any hesitation, and right then we confirmed that she indeed changed her residence to her newly bought apartment. during that time when she scammed the most number of victims. Yes, the same time when a lot of her victims complained of getting scammed by more than 1 million rubles. At this point, we already have all the necessary data so that we can file an official complaint against her. Additionally, we wanted to contact people close to her, particularly her mother, so that she could put pressure on Ekaterina to stop her wrongdoings. But we needed her mom's contact number, and we thought of a creative way to get it. Just like Ekaterina, we came up with some ridiculous law that says we needed her next of kin's contact information in case of an emergency. We claimed that it is necessary to finalize the contract. In theory, she could refuse, but as we've mentioned earlier, she's not really that smart. She immediately sent us her mom's contact number as well as the contact number of her boyfriend's relative. Well, we didn't really need the latter, but we needed to create an illusion of legitimacy, so we said nothing of it and thanked her. Now that we have her mother's number, we could just easily call her, but we thought of something more interesting and delayed the call for a little later because we wanted it to be a part of our plan of punishing her. During the conversation, we informed her that it is required that she post 2 to 3 Insta stories about her trip, 2 during her travel and another one during the filming of the show. We explained that this is necessary to attract interest to the show. The agreement is as follows. She needs to post 1 Insta story while on the car and another one when she reaches the airport. We also required her to keep posting updates about her trip to keep her followers excited and most importantly, tag Andrei Afonin's Instagram account with the hashtag WAIT. As a part of our prank, we created a fake electronic version of a plane ticket to Nizhny Novgorod to Moscow. It looked like this. We encoded all the necessary data but intentionally inserted mistakes in many places in order to confirm just how bad Ekaterina's brain really works. The tickets were supposedly business class tickets worth more than 1,000 rubles each, or a little more than $1,300 US. Does she really think that a show is willing to spend this much for someone like her? How would the showrunners be able to recoup the expenses if they spend this much for just a ticket? The plane tickets should have a flight code, which is a set of random letters, but she obviously did not notice that hers are missing. On the fine print, we explicitly indicated that the tickets are not genuine and that they were created only for the purpose of this video, and just below it, it is a link to a YouTube channel. We could only imagine her excitement for what she thought was an all-expense-paid trip. She probably took a lot of time choosing her outfits, thinking she'd be the new star of Afonia TV. This would be a really good exposure, which translates to an increase in her followers, which, by the way, tanked a long time ago. Before going to bed, she made a post about her upcoming trip, and we could not help but laugh. The following day, we booked her a ride to the airport as we promised. While on the trip, she made 2 posts tagging Afonia TV with the hashtag WAIT. The real production team of Afonia TV was probably confused why a random Instagrammer is asking them to wait. Before even going to the airport, she posted a photo of her plane ticket and asked her followers to vote whether she should go or not. She also made numerous other posts when she arrived at the airport. Ekaterina's boyfriend, who she met during one of her recent holidays, also posted on his own Instagram account about their trip to Moscow. We can only imagine what happened when they went to the Sky Priority business class counter and showed their fake plane tickets. After about 5 minutes, we received a call from her panicking boyfriend and told us what happened. We can't believe that at this point, they still believe that there was some mistake on the airline's end and that they were still expecting to be boarded.
Здравствуйте, Никита, еще раз.
Да, здравствуйте.
У нас возникли трудности с регистрацией. Нам сказали, что у нас все верно, билеты, а в списках нас нет. Ни по фамилии, ни по имени нас найти в списках не могут.
Так, сейчас, секунду. В общем, на самом деле я не Никита, меня зовут Александр, и прошу меня сейчас выслушать. Я представляю интересы людей, которые когда-то были связаны с Екатериной. А если быть точнее, они до сих пор связаны, просто Катерина пытается отвязать этих людей от себя, и речь идет о деньгах.
We finally told them the truth and the purpose of this prank. Surprisingly, they just wished us good luck. Since our prank had already been revealed, we couldn't waste any more time, so we immediately dialed the number of Ekaterina's mom.
Алло.
Алло, здравствуйте, Ольга Геннадьевна.
Да, слушаю вас.
Здравствуйте, меня зовут Александр, я звоню по поводу вашей дочери Екатерины Романовой. 60 девочек в интернете, которые были просто обмануты Екатериной на сумму более 1 миллиона рублей.
Не надо говорить об этом, если вы не знаете. Никаких доказательств нет.
Unfortunately for the victims, it seems that Ekaterina's mom is not able to pressure her daughter any further. Understandably, it's her child that we are talking about, and it is in her instinct to protect her and maybe, to some extent, accept whatever her wrongdoings are. But despite this setback, we were able to accomplish our main goal, which is to get her personal data that is needed to file an official complaint. Several other girls from Ekaterina's home city of Nizhny Novgorod have already filed an official complaint against the fraudster. However, there hasn't been any progress with the case as of yet. We are following up with the Office of the Ministry of Internal Affairs and have been pushing for action. What is really frustrating is that Ekaterina keeps flaunting all the new stuff she has purchased using the money from her illegal scheme. She's mistaken if she thinks that putting out a disclaimer protects her from any liability and that she can continue to scam without any repercussion. We will continue to follow this case and give you guys an update once there's progress. During the course of creating this video, we spoke with the victims of Ekaterina, some for the first time and some we have spoken to before. We gave them detailed instructions on how to properly write their official complaints to the police so that they won't miss any details. We've also given them all the necessary data they would need to file the complaint. We really do not know how extensive her scam was, so we made an announcement in our social media accounts that her victims could contact us directly and we would help in contacting the authorities. So what do you think of our little prank? Would you punish a scammer if given the chance? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, if you liked our video, support us by hitting the like button. This is Project Anyname. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.